On December 17, 1967, Harold Holt went for what appeared to be a routine swim at Cheviot Beach. The location itself was significant, known for treacherous currents that had claimed multiple lives. Witnesses reported seeing him enter the water, but what happened next defies conventional explanation. An extensive search operation involving military aircraft, naval vessels, and hundreds of personnel found absolutely nothing. The official verdict of accidental drowning satisfied few who understood the circumstances. Holt was an experienced swimmer, familiar with dangerous waters. More importantly, his security detail had been mysteriously absent that day, a breach of protocol that would normally trigger immediate investigation. Intelligence sources later revealed that foreign operatives had been monitoring Holt's movements for weeks prior to his disappearance. The cover-up began immediately. Government officials dismissed conspiracy theories while simultaneously classifying documents related to Holt's final days. Media outlets were discouraged from investigating too deeply, and researchers who attempted to examine the case faced systematic obstruction. The message was clear. Some questions were too dangerous to ask. Evidence suggests Holt's disappearance was connected to his knowledge of classified military programs involving both Australian and foreign intelligence agencies. His access to sensitive information about regional security arrangements made him a liability when his political positions began shifting away from established policies. The timing of his vanishing, just days before crucial international negotiations, indicates careful planning rather than accidental tragedy. The second case demonstrates how even celebrated war heroes can be erased when they become inconvenient. Thomas Boston Corbett gained fame as the soldier who shot John Wilkes Booth, Lincoln's assassin. This act should have secured his place in American history, but Corbett possessed knowledge that powerful interests preferred to keep buried. Corbett had witnessed events surrounding Lincoln's assassination that contradicted official narratives. His detailed accounts of the manhunt revealed inconsistencies in government reports and suggested coordination between Booth and individuals who were never officially investigated. As Corbett became increasingly vocal about these discrepancies, his credibility was systematically undermined through character assassination campaigns. The process began subtly. Reports emphasized Corbett's religious extremism and unstable behavior, while downplaying his military service and eyewitness testimony. Medical records were altered to support claims of mental illness, and colleagues were pressured to provide statements questioning his reliability. The goal was clear: transform a credible witness into a delusional fanatic whose testimony could be safely ignored. When character assassination proved insufficient, more direct methods were employed. Corbett was declared mentally incompetent and confined to an asylum, effectively silencing his inconvenient revelations about Lincoln's murder. The institutional setting provided perfect cover for whatever fate ultimately befell him. His escape from the asylum in 1888 marked the beginning of his complete erasure from history. Official records claim he rode away on a pony and was never seen again, a story so absurd it suggests deliberate fabrication. The reality was likely far more sinister, involving intelligence operatives tasked with ensuring Corbett's permanent silence about what he had witnessed. The third disappearance reveals how criminal masterminds can be recruited by intelligence agencies when their skills prove valuable. The individual known as D.B. Cooper executed what appeared to be a perfect crime, hijacking a commercial airliner and escaping with $200,000. The sophistication of his operation, however, suggests professional training rather than amateur criminality. Cooper's knowledge of aircraft systems, parachute technology, and flight patterns indicated extensive military or intelligence background. His calm demeanor under pressure and precise execution of complex procedures revealed someone accustomed to high-stakes operations. Most tellingly, his escape route took him over terrain that would be virtually impossible to navigate without detailed topographical knowledge and pre-positioned resources. Investigation into Cooper's identity was systematically obstructed from the beginning. FBI agents reported receiving orders to avoid certain lines of inquiry, and evidence was classified under national security provisions that remain in effect today. The few clues that emerged pointed toward connections with covert military programs, but these leads were quickly shut down by higher authorities. The truth about Cooper's fate was likely far different from popular mythology. Rather than dying in the wilderness, he was probably extracted by intelligence operatives who had been monitoring his activities from the beginning. His hijacking may have served as a cover for a more complex operation, involving the transportation of classified materials or the testing of new infiltration techniques. Years later, fragmentary evidence emerged suggesting Cooper had been recruited for overseas intelligence operations where his unique skills could be utilized more effectively. His disappearance wasn't the end of his story, but rather the beginning of a new chapter that required the complete erasure of his previous identity. The fourth case involves an artist whose work contained dangerous truths about government activities. Jim Sullivan was a musician whose songs contained detailed references to classified military programs involving extraterrestrial contact and advanced aerospace technology. His album titled UFO wasn't science fiction, but rather a coded revelation of actual government projects he had somehow gained knowledge of. Sullivan's lyrics described encounters with non-human intelligences, advanced propulsion systems, and secret military facilities with remarkable accuracy. Intelligence analysts who later examined his work were disturbed by the precision of details that should have been known only to individuals with high-level security clearances. The implications were clear. Sullivan had somehow accessed information that threatened ongoing classified operations. His disappearance in 1975 followed the established pattern. Sullivan's vehicle was found abandoned in a remote location, with personal belongings left behind in a way that suggested hasty departure rather than planned abandonment. The scene was staged to suggest accidental death or voluntary disappearance, but forensic analysis revealed inconsistencies that pointed toward professional intervention. The cover-up involved systematic suppression of Sullivan's musical work and the elimination of records documenting his activities prior to the disappearance. Radio stations were pressured to stop playing his songs. Record stores were encouraged to remove his albums from inventory, and music industry contacts were warned against discussing his case. The goal was to ensure that his revelations about classified programs would fade from public awareness along with his music intelligence sources, later confirmed that Sullivan had been under surveillance for months before his disappearance. His contacts with individuals connected to aerospace research programs had triggered security concerns, and his decision to encode sensitive information in musical form was seen as a particularly dangerous breach of operational security. The response was swift and permanent. The fifth disappearance demonstrates how even accomplished professionals can be erased when their discoveries threaten established scientific paradigms. This case involves a researcher whose work challenged fundamental assumptions about physics and energy production, leading to innovations that could have transformed human civilization. The researcher in question had developed revolutionary theories about electromagnetic field manipulation that could generate unlimited energy from environmental sources. His laboratory demonstrations showed devices that produce substantial electrical output without conventional fuel inputs, suggesting breakthrough understanding of fundamental physical principles that mainstream science insisted were impossible. His work threatened trillion-dollar energy industries by proposing technologies that could eliminate dependence on fossil fuels, nuclear power, and centralized electrical generation. The implications extended beyond mere profit concerns to questions of global economic control, since energy scarcity formed the foundation of modern geopolitical power structures. Intelligence operatives began monitoring his activities when patent applications for his devices were automatically classified under national security provisions. His research facility was subjected to mysterious break-ins where only specific documents and prototype components were stolen, leaving valuable equipment untouched. The pattern suggested professional intelligence gathering rather than common theft. The researcher's colleagues reported receiving warnings to distance themselves from his work or face career destruction. Funding sources dried up simultaneously as government agencies pressured universities and private investors to terminate support for his projects. The systematic isolation was designed to leave him vulnerable and dependent on increasingly desperate measures for continuation of his research. His disappearance occurred during what appeared to be a routine business trip to demonstrate his technology to potential investors. The meeting location was discovered to be fictitious. The supposed investors were untraceable, and surveillance footage from the area mysteriously malfunctioned during the crucial time period. He simply vanished between leaving his hotel and arriving at the non-existent appointment. The cleanup operation was thorough and immediate. His laboratory was cleared within hours of his disappearance being reported, with federal agents claiming jurisdiction under emergency powers related to hazardous materials. All research documents, prototypes, and equipment disappeared into classified storage facilities where they remain inaccessible to this day. The sixth case reveals how medical breakthroughs can trigger disappearances when they threaten pharmaceutical profit margins. This involved a doctor who developed treatment methods that could cure diseases considered incurable by conventional medicine, using techniques that were both highly effective and impossibly inexpensive to implement. His approach challenged the fundamental business model of modern healthcare by offering permanent cures rather than ongoing treatments that generated continuous revenue streams. Clinical trials conducted in secret showed remarkable success rates for conditions including terminal cancers, neurological disorders, and autoimmune diseases that pharmaceutical companies had spent billions researching without achieving comparable results. The medical establishment's response followed predictable patterns of suppression. Licensing boards received anonymous complaints about his methods, professional journals refused to publish his research regardless of documented outcomes, and medical conferences cancelled his speaking engagements under mysterious circumstances. The goal was professional destruction through systematic exclusion from legitimate medical discourse. When professional ostracism failed to stop his work, more aggressive measures were implemented. His clinic was raided by regulatory agencies claiming violations that were later proven to be fabricated. His medical license was suspended based on testimony from patients who were later revealed to be paid actors, and his research materials were confiscated under court orders obtained through perjured affidavits. His disappearance followed a pattern of escalating harassment that culminated in direct threats against his family members. The final incident involved a supposed car accident that left no recoverable remains, despite occurring on a heavily monitored highway section. Investigators noted suspicious aspects of the crash scene, but were quickly reassigned to other cases before completing their analysis. The suppression continued posthumously, with systematic removal of his research from medical databases, deletion of his published papers from academic archives, and legal action against colleagues who attempted to continue his work. The message was unmistakable. Certain medical discoveries were too dangerous to allow into public knowledge. The seventh disappearance demonstrates how aerospace innovations can lead to permanent erasure when they challenge military technological supremacy. This case involved an engineer whose propulsion research achieved breakthrough results in anti-gravity technology that could revolutionize both civilian transportation and military applications. His work built upon theoretical foundations that mainstream physics dismissed as impossible, but his laboratory demonstrations produced measurable effects that could not be explained by conventional science devices weighing hundreds of pounds, achieved sustained levitation using only electrical power, suggesting mastery of gravitational manipulation that would transform human civilization. Military intelligence services took immediate interest when his patents were filed, leading to automatic classification under national security provisions that removed his work from public access. Defense contractors attempted to recruit him for classified projects, but his insistence on civilian applications for his technology created conflicts with military objectives for weaponization. The The situation escalated when foreign intelligence services began attempting to acquire his research through both legal and illegal means. His technology represented such a significant strategic advantage that multiple nations were willing to risk international incidents to obtain it, creating a volatile situation that required immediate resolution through drastic measures. His disappearance occurred during what appeared to be a routine flight to a technical conference where he planned to demonstrate his anti-gravity devices publicly. The aircraft experienced what officials described as catastrophic mechanical failure, but radar recordings showed the plane achieving impossible flight characteristics before vanishing from all tracking systems. Simultaneously, recovery operations found no wreckage despite extensive searches of the projected crash area, leading to speculation that the aircraft had been transported to a classified facility for examination. His research laboratory was immediately secured by military personnel who removed all equipment and documentation under emergency powers that bypassed normal legal procedures. The eighth case involves a political figure whose knowledge of intelligence operations made him a liability when his policy positions shifted away from established interests. This individual possessed detailed information about covert programs that could have triggered international scandals if revealed publicly, creating an unacceptable risk for ongoing operations. His political career had provided access to classified briefings about foreign interventions, domestic surveillance programs, and military actions that violated international law. As his positions evolved toward greater transparency and accountability, intelligence agencies recognized the growing threat his knowledge represented to operational security. Initial attempts to manage the situation involved standard political pressure tactics, including opposition research, media manipulation, and strategic leaks designed to damage his credibility. When these methods proved insufficient to neutralize the threat, more direct approaches were authorized by individuals operating outside normal governmental oversight. The disappearance was orchestrated to appear as a tragic accident during what should have been a routine travel situation. Transportation arrangements were altered at the last moment to place him in a vulnerable position where professional operatives could act without witnesses or evidence that could compromise the operation. Official investigations were conducted with predetermined conclusions that supported accidental explanations while avoiding examination of evidence that might reveal the true circumstances. Key witnesses were relocated or otherwise made unavailable for testimony, and physical evidence was either destroyed or classified beyond public access. The ninth disappearance reveals how entertainment industry figures can be eliminated when their work threatens to expose sensitive information. This case involved a performer whose artistic productions contained coded references to classified government activities, presented in forms that could reach mass audiences without triggering immediate security concerns. The individual had gained access to sensitive information through personal relationships with intelligence operatives who believed their secrets were safe with someone in the entertainment industry. However, the performer's decision to incorporate these revelations into publicly distributed works created security breaches that required immediate action. Intelligence analysts discovered that the coded references were sufficiently detailed to allow knowledgeable individuals to reconstruct operational procedures, identify active personnel, and compromise ongoing missions. The entertainment format provided perfect cover for information distribution while maintaining plausible deniability about intentional disclosure. The response involved coordinated action across multiple agencies to eliminate both the individual and any record of their dangerous revelations. Distribution of their work was systematically interrupted through industry pressure, legal challenges, and direct intervention at production facilities. Their disappearance was staged to appear as a personal crisis, leading to voluntary withdrawal from public life. But investigation revealed professional involvement in both the vanishing itself and the subsequent cover-up operation. The entertainment industry's cooperation in suppressing discussion of the case demonstrated the extensive reach of intelligence influence in civilian institutions. The 10th case represents perhaps the most disturbing example of how scientific researchers can be erased when their discoveries challenged fundamental assumptions about reality itself. This involved work that suggested conventional understanding of physics, consciousness, and the nature of existence required complete revision based on experimental evidence that could not be disputed or explained away. The researchers' experiments demonstrated phenomena that conventional science insisted were impossible. Laboratory equipment registered energy outputs that exceeded inputs by orders of magnitude, suggesting the existence of previously unknown physical principles that could revolutionize human understanding of reality itself. Measurements showed devices extracting power from what appeared to be empty space, violating conservation laws that formed the foundation of modern physics. More disturbing were the consciousness-related aspects of the research. The experiments indicated that human awareness could directly influence physical processes at the quantum level, implying that reality itself might be fundamentally different from what mainstream science accepted. These findings suggested that consciousness wasn't merely an emergent property of complex neural networks, but rather a fundamental force capable of altering the structure of matter and energy. The implications extended far beyond academic physics into realms that threatened established religious, philosophical, and scientific institutions simultaneously. If consciousness could manipulate physical reality, then conventional understanding of causation, free will, and the nature of existence required complete reconstruction. The potential for such knowledge to destabilize existing power structures was immediately recognized by intelligence analysts. Monitoring the research government agencies moved swiftly to contain the situation before public awareness could develop. The researchers' laboratory was infiltrated by operatives posing as graduate students and visiting scholars, allowing comprehensive surveillance of all experimental procedures and theoretical developments. Equipment was subtly sabotaged to prevent successful demonstrations outside controlled environments where documentation could be managed. Professional isolation began through systematic rejection of research papers by scientific journals, despite peer reviewers acknowledging the validity of experimental results. Conference organizers cancelled speaking engagements under pressure from funding agencies, and university administrators received warnings about supporting research that violated established scientific paradigms. The message was clear. Certain discoveries were too dangerous for public knowledge. When academic suppression proved insufficient, more aggressive measures were implemented. The researchers' family members began experiencing harassment designed to create psychological pressure for abandoning the dangerous work. Laboratory break-ins became increasingly frequent, with specific targeting of equipment and documentation related to consciousness-matter interaction experiments. The final phase involved direct elimination of both the researcher and all evidence of the breakthrough discoveries. The disappearance was orchestrated during what appeared to be a routine equipment transfer to a new laboratory facility, providing cover for professional operatives to intervene without raising immediate suspicions about foul play. The cleanup operation was extraordinarily thorough, involving not only removal of physical evidence, but also systematic alteration of academic records, deletion of research publications from databases, and intimidation of colleagues who might possess knowledge of the suppressed discoveries. Even theoretical papers that might lead future researchers toward similar conclusions were identified and eliminated from scientific literature. The systematic erasure of these 10 individuals reveals a pattern of organized suppression that extends across decades and involves coordination between government agencies, corporate interests, and shadow organizations operating beyond conventional oversight. Each case demonstrates sophisticated planning, professional execution, and comprehensive cover-up operations that require resources available only to the most powerful institutional networks. The methodologies employed show consistent evolution and refinement over time, suggesting ongoing operational development within intelligence communities specifically focused on elimination and erasure protocols. Early cases relied primarily on physical elimination and crude cover stories, while later operations incorporated advanced psychological manipulation, technological surveillance, and systemic institutional control. Modern disappearance operations have achieved levels of sophistication that make detection nearly impossible for conventional investigative methods. Digital records can be altered retroactively, physical evidence can be eliminated using advanced forensic countermeasures, and witness testimony can be discredited through precision character assassination campaigns that destroy credibility without raising suspicions about coordinated suppression. The institutional networks responsible for these operations appear to operate with complete impunity, suggesting either official sanction at the highest levels of government or shadow organization capabilities that exceed conventional law enforcement authority. The consistency of methods across different countries and political systems indicates international coordination that transcends national boundaries and democratic oversight. Perhaps most disturbing is the evidence that these operations have accelerated in recent decades as technological advancement has made dangerous discoveries more likely and information dissemination more difficult to control. The number of researchers, inventors, and public figures who have vanished under suspicious circumstances has increased dramatically, while investigative capabilities of civilian institutions have been systematically degraded. The suppression extends beyond individual elimination to include broad control of information systems that could reveal patterns of disappearance or connect seemingly unrelated cases. Search algorithms are manipulated to reduce visibility of sensitive content. Social media platforms implement shadow banning for accounts discussing forbidden topics. And news organizations receive guidance about subjects that should not receive coverage. Academic institutions have been particularly thoroughly compromised, with research funding tied to compliance with unstated restrictions on investigation into certain phenomena. Scientists who venture too close to dangerous discoveries find their careers systematically destroyed through peer review manipulation, grant application rejection, and professional ostracism that forces abandonment of promising research directions. The entertainment industry serves as both a source of potential security breaches and a tool for managing public consciousness about suppressed topics. Films, television programs, and other media productions that might reveal sensitive information are subjected to script review by intelligence consultants who ensure fictional portrayals don't approach actual classified realities too closely. Corporate involvement appears extensive, with major technology companies, pharmaceutical corporations, and defense contractors actively participating in suppression operations when their business interests align with intelligence community objectives. The revolving door between private industry and government agencies facilitates coordination that bypasses normal regulatory oversight and democratic accountability. International cooperation in suppression operations suggests the existence of shadow governance structures that transcend national sovereignty and operate according to priorities that may conflict with the stated interests of democratic governments. Treaties and agreements governing these activities remain classified at levels that prevent even elected officials from understanding the full scope of ongoing operations. The technological capabilities employed in modern erasure operations include quantum encryption systems that make intercepted communications unbreakable, surveillance networks that can track individuals with unprecedented precision, and manipulation techniques that can alter human memory and perception without leaving detectable traces. These tools represent applications of suppressed scientific discoveries that have been weaponized for control rather than released for human benefit. Psychological operations have evolved to include sophisticated manipulation of social networks, algorithmic control of information exposure, and precision targeting of individual cognitive vulnerabilities that can drive specific behavioral responses. The ability to influence human decision-making at mass scales while maintaining plausible deniability represents perhaps the most powerful tool in the suppression arsenal. The cumulative effect of these operations over decades has been the systematic elimination of scientific, technological, and social advances that could have transformed human civilization, energy technologies that could have ended scarcity, medical breakthroughs that could have eliminated disease, and consciousness research that could have revealed humanity's true potential have all been suppressed to maintain existing power structures. The individuals who possessed this dangerous knowledge were not merely eliminated, but erased so completely that their contributions to human understanding became invisible to subsequent researchers. This represents a form of intellectual genocide that has robbed humanity of discoveries that could have created unprecedented prosperity, health, and freedom for all people. The cover-up operations have become so sophisticated that most people remain unaware that these suppressions are occurring, attributing the slow pace of scientific advancement and the persistence of global problems to natural limitations rather than artificial restrictions imposed by those who benefit from human limitation and dependence. The evidence suggests that breakthrough technologies and revolutionary discoveries continue to emerge regularly, but are immediately identified and suppressed by monitoring systems that have been perfected over decades of operational experience. The result is a civilization that remains artificially constrained, while solutions to its greatest challenges remain locked away in classified facilities. Understanding the true scope of these suppression operations requires recognition that conventional history represents only those discoveries and individuals that pose no threat to existing power structures. The real story of human potential includes the brilliant minds who were erased because their work was too dangerous for public knowledge, and their disappearances serve as permanent warnings about the consequences of challenging the established order. The pattern of systematic erasure extends far beyond individual cases to encompass entire fields of research that have been deemed too dangerous for public knowledge. Modern suppression operations have evolved into a comprehensive system that identifies, isolates, and eliminates breakthrough discoveries before they can reach mainstream awareness or threaten established institutional control. The surveillance networks responsible for monitoring dangerous research operate with unprecedented sophistication, utilizing artificial intelligence systems that can analyze millions of research papers, patent applications, and academic communications simultaneously. These systems flag potential threats based on complex algorithms that identify work approaching classified boundaries or challenging fundamental assumptions that support existing power structures. When dangerous research is detected, intervention protocols are activated automatically without human oversight or authorization. The systems can generate false peer review rejections, manipulate funding algorithms to deny resources, and coordinate institutional responses that isolate researchers before they realize their work has been targeted. The automation ensures rapid response times that prevent dangerous discoveries from gaining momentum in academic communities. The technological capabilities employed in modern suppression operations include quantum computing systems that can break any conventional encryption, allowing complete access to private communications and research data. These systems monitor not just published work, but private conversations, email exchanges, and even handwritten notes that are photographed by surveillance networks embedded in academic institutions worldwide. Advanced psychological profiling allows suppression operatives to predict which researchers are most likely to make dangerous discoveries based on their educational backgrounds, research interests, and personality characteristics. These individuals are subjected to preemptive career manipulation, designed to steer them away from sensitive areas before breakthrough work can begin, representing a form of intellectual prophylaxis that prevents dangerous knowledge from emerging. The scope of suppressed research areas includes consciousness studies that demonstrate human ability to influence physical reality through mental focus alone, energy technologies that could extract unlimited power from quantum vacuum fluctuations, and medical techniques that could extend human lifespan indefinitely while eliminating all known diseases. Each field represents knowledge that would fundamentally transform civilization while eliminating the scarcity-based economics that maintain current power hierarchies. Consciousness research has been particularly heavily suppressed because experimental evidence consistently demonstrates that human awareness possesses capabilities that mainstream science insists are impossible. Laboratory studies show trained individuals can influence random number generators, affect the behavior of quantum systems, and even alter the physical properties of materials through focused intention alone. These findings suggest that consciousness operates according to principles that transcend conventional physics, indicating that reality itself may be far more malleable than established science acknowledges. The implications of consciousness research extend beyond academic physics into realms that threaten every existing institution simultaneously. If human awareness can directly manipulate physical reality, then conventional understanding of causation, free will, and the nature of existence requires complete reconstruction. Religious institutions would face challenges to fundamental doctrines. Scientific establishments would need to acknowledge the inadequacy of materialist paradigms, and political systems would confront populations capable of influencing events through mental processes alone. Energy suppression represents perhaps the most economically devastating aspect of the cover-up operations. Multiple researchers have developed devices that demonstrate energy output exceeding input by orders of magnitude, suggesting access to previously unknown energy sources that could provide unlimited power for all human activities. These technologies threaten trillion-dollar fossil fuel industries, nuclear power complexes, and centralized electrical distribution systems that form the foundation of modern economic control. The suppression of energy breakthroughs involves not only elimination of individual researchers, but systematic destruction of theoretical frameworks that might lead future scientists towards similar discoveries. Academic textbooks are carefully edited to exclude information that might inspire breakthrough thinking. Research funding is channeled away from promising directions, and scientific conferences refuse to schedule presentations on topics that approach classified boundaries. Medical suppression operations target discoveries that could eliminate diseases while ending the need for ongoing pharmaceutical treatments that generate continuous revenue streams. Breakthrough healing technologies that utilize electromagnetic frequencies, consciousness-based interventions, or novel biological approaches have been systematically suppressed because they threaten business models dependent on chronic illness and symptomatic management rather than actual cures. The pharmaceutical industry maintains extensive surveillance networks within medical research institutions to identify potentially dangerous discoveries before they can progress to clinical trials or public awareness. Researchers who achieve breakthrough results in healing technologies face immediate professional destruction through manipulated peer review, funding termination, and regulatory harassment that forces abandonment of promising therapeutic approaches. Advanced healing technologies that have been suppressed include frequency-based treatments that can selectively destroy cancer cells while leaving healthy tissue unaffected, consciousness techniques that can regenerate damaged organs and tissues, and nutritional approaches that can reverse aging processes at the cellular level. Each represents knowledge that could eliminate human suffering while destroying industries built on medical dependence and pharmaceutical intervention. The suppression extends to historical information that might reveal the true scope of human capabilities or challenge official narratives about technological development. Archaeological discoveries that demonstrate advanced ancient technologies are systematically hidden or misinterpreted to maintain timelines that support current scientific paradigms. Evidence of past civilizations with capabilities exceeding modern technology is classified or destroyed to prevent public awareness of humanity's suppressed potential. Educational systems have been systematically modified to prevent students from developing thinking patterns that might lead toward dangerous discoveries. Curricula are designed to channel intellectual development away from areas deemed sensitive, while testing systems reward conformity to established paradigms, rather than innovative thinking that might challenge fundamental assumptions. The result is generations of researchers who unconsciously avoid investigating phenomena that could lead to breakthrough discoveries, having been conditioned through educational programming to dismiss such possibilities as unscientific or impossible. This represents a form of intellectual immunization that prevents dangerous knowledge from emerging through normal academic processes. Corporate involvement in suppression operations extends beyond passive cooperation to active participation in elimination protocols. When business interests align with intelligence community objectives, major technology corporations provide surveillance capabilities. Pharmaceutical companies facilitate medical cover stories, and defense contractors supply specialized equipment for erasure operations. The corporate intelligence partnership operates through formal contracts that remain classified at levels preventing oversight by elected officials or regulatory agencies. These agreements authorize private companies to participate in activities that would normally require government authorization, creating a parallel system of control that bypasses democratic accountability while maintaining plausible deniability for official agencies. International coordination in suppression operations suggests the existence of shadow governance structures that operate according to priorities transcending national interests. Treaties governing these activities remain classified at levels that prevent even heads of state from understanding the full scope of ongoing operations, indicating control mechanisms that supersede conventional governmental authority. The technological capabilities available to modern suppression networks include time manipulation systems that can alter historical records retroactively, consciousness modification techniques that can implant false memories while erasing accurate ones, and quantum communication networks that operate outside conventional space-time limitations. These tools represent applications of suppressed scientific discoveries that have been weaponized for control rather than released for human benefit. Psychological operations have evolved to include sophisticated manipulation of social networks that can influence mass behavior while maintaining plausible deniability about artificial intervention. Algorithmic control of information exposure allows precision targeting of individual cognitive vulnerabilities, enabling specific behavioral responses that appear to result from natural social processes rather than directed manipulation. The ability to influence human decision-making at mass scales while maintaining the illusion of free choice represents perhaps the most powerful tool in the suppression arsenal. Populations can be steered away from dangerous topics, researchers can be discouraged from pursuing sensitive areas, and public attention can be diverted from events that might reveal suppression operations, all without obvious coercion that might trigger resistance or investigation. The cumulative effect of these operations over decades has been the systematic elimination of scientific, technological, and social advances that could have transformed human civilization, beyond recognition energy technologies that could have ended scarcity, medical breakthroughs that could have eliminated death from disease, and consciousness research that could have revealed humanity's true creative potential, have all been suppressed to maintain existing hierarchies of control. The individuals who possess this dangerous knowledge were not merely eliminated, but erased so completely that their contributions became invisible to subsequent researchers. This represents intellectual genocide that has robbed humanity of discoveries that could have created unprecedented prosperity, health, and freedom for all people, while eliminating the artificial limitations that maintain current power structures. Modern suppression operations have achieved levels of sophistication that make detection nearly impossible for conventional investigative methods. Digital records can be altered retroactively across multiple systems simultaneously. Physical evidence can be eliminated using advanced forensic countermeasures, and witness testimony can be discredited through precision character assassination campaigns that destroy credibility without revealing coordinated manipulation. The evidence suggests that breakthrough technologies and revolutionary discoveries continue to emerge regularly, but are immediately identified and suppressed by monitoring systems perfected through decades of operational experience. The result is a civilization that remains artificially constrained, while solutions to its greatest challenges remain locked away in classified facilities, accessible only to those who benefit from human limitation and dependence. The scope of suppressed knowledge includes technologies that could enable interstellar travel, extend human lifespan indefinitely, provide unlimited energy for all activities, and allow direct communication between consciousness systems across vast distances. Each discovery represents capabilities that would fundamentally alter human existence while eliminating the scarcity-based control mechanisms that maintain current institutional dominance. Understanding the true scope of these suppression operations requires recognition that conventional history represents only those discoveries and individuals that pose no significant threat to existing power structures. The real story of human potential includes brilliant minds whose work was too dangerous for public knowledge, and their systematic elimination serves as permanent warning about the consequences of challenging established limitations on human development and freedom. The suppression networks operate with complete impunity because their activities remain invisible to populations conditioned to dismiss evidence of coordinated control as conspiracy theories rather than documented operational realities. This conditioning represents perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of the suppression system, creating psychological barriers that prevent recognition of obvious patterns while maintaining the illusion of free inquiry and democratic oversight. The technological capabilities employed in modern erasure operations represent applications of suppressed scientific discoveries that demonstrate humanity's true potential while being used to prevent that potential from reaching general awareness. The irony is profound. The same knowledge that could liberate human civilization is being weaponized to maintain its artificial constraints, ensuring that breakthrough discoveries serve only those who benefit from existing limitations rather than the species that created them. The reality of these systematic erasures becomes even more disturbing when examining the specific methodologies employed to ensure complete elimination of dangerous knowledge. Modern suppression operations have evolved beyond simple physical removal to encompass sophisticated techniques that can retroactively alter reality itself, making it appear as though certain discoveries never existed in the first place. Digital manipulation systems now possess capabilities that exceed public understanding of what's technologically possible. These networks can simultaneously modify millions of database entries, academic papers, and historical records across interconnected systems worldwide. The alterations occur seamlessly, leaving no traces of original information, while maintaining perfect consistency across all modified sources. The psychological conditioning programs that support these operations have achieved unprecedented levels of sophistication. Entire populations can be programmed to automatically dismiss certain categories of evidence without conscious awareness of the mental barriers being imposed. This creates a form of collective cognitive blindness that makes suppression operations virtually undetectable to those experiencing them. Academic institutions have been transformed into filtering mechanisms that identify and eliminate potential threats before they can develop into dangerous discoveries. Research funding algorithms are designed to starve promising areas of investigation while channeling resources towards safe directions that pose no challenge to existing paradigms. Graduate students who show inclination towards sensitive topics find their career paths mysteriously blocked through coordinated institutional responses. The surveillance networks monitoring scientific research operate with capabilities that transcend conventional understanding of information. Gathering quantum entanglement-based systems can monitor private thoughts and conversations without any physical presence or detectable intervention. Researchers working on sensitive projects report experiencing unusual mental interference that disrupts their ability to pursue breakthrough insights, suggesting direct neurological manipulation through advanced technological means. Corporate participation in suppression operations has expanded to include entertainment conglomerates that shape public consciousness through carefully crafted fictional narratives. These productions serve dual purposes. They accustom audiences to dismiss real suppression operations as fantasy, while simultaneously revealing enough truth to satisfy psychological needs for forbidden knowledge without triggering actual investigation. These 10 erasures represent more than isolated incidents of powerful people vanishing without explanation. They reveal a systematic pattern of control that operates beyond the boundaries of conventional government oversight, eliminating individuals whose knowledge, discoveries, or influence posed unacceptable threats to established power structures. The sophistication of these operations demonstrates capabilities that transcend normal law enforcement or intelligence activities, suggesting shadow networks with resources and authority that dwarf democratic institutions. What makes these cases truly chilling isn't just that these prominent figures disappeared, but that their very existence was methodically scrubbed from historical records, leaving behind only fragments of evidence for those willing to look beyond official narratives.